Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Theatre Pitch podcast. My name is Jem. This is Sean.
I'm always eating at the start of these podcasts lately. Hi, Gemma.
There is a small part of me that glances down and sees that you've got a face full of something sticky and go, we're going with Sean first.
What an interesting sentence.
And this is Joe. How you doing, Joe?
I'm good, thanks. Unlike Sean, I ate before I got here and I don't drink on weekdays.
Fair enough. But this is the podcast where we as theatre makers take a random online encyclopedia article and we each pitch how we would turn it into a theatre show. And then at the end of the podcast, we smush the ideas together to either create something beautiful or catastrophic. I was doing so well until I completely stuttered over the word catastrophic. But today's episode...
It's a long word.
I know, I'm now just, it's gone, it's all gone. Today's episode...
The episode. Come on, Joe. Let's crack on with this episode.
What's this about? What are we here for today?
On today's episode, after using the randomizer on the online encyclopedia, today we're going to be talking about the BR Standard Class 5 7330... it's the 73082 Camelot.
There you go.
It's a train.
Oh, Camelot.
It's not a train. It's categorically not a train, it's a locomotive.
It's a locomotive,
Do either of you know the difference between a train and a locomotive?
Yes.
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 I know the difference is train people will constantly go on about the difference.
Okay.
It's like,
go on, John.
what's the difference between FIFA 21 and FIFA 22? I mean, there's a few new features. That's the difference.
What, faintly different stats?
Faintly different stats. That's what it is.
No, you're both wrong. I have to mention this. And
okay, fine, Jem. It's a train is when there's the carriages attached. The locomotive is the engine bit.
Thank you, Joe. I have to represent. It was drilled into me. No, it was drilled into me. I worked at the National Railway Museum. I was surrounded by trained people, and then I discovered that my grandfather is actually... None of us fully knew, at least the extent to which this was. My grandfather is an anorak train spotter. So since then, my grandfather, everybody's grandfather, and everybody's parents I've ever been introduced to have been introduced to me via my work at the train museum.
I'm sorry, what was that sentence? Every single grandparent that I've been introduced to because of the museum.
So literally, when I meet friends' like parents and grandparents,
how often are you meeting your friends' grandparents?
More often than I care to count, because I end up with people when they are in a room with older people and me, and there's a lull in the conversation, everybody turns around and goes, Jem worked on the Flying Scotsman. And there's always an older person then who then latches onto me, and we have a very deep conversation that's all in letters and numbers and all about liveries.
Who are these friends that you're hanging out with that aren't us? And also, why are you hanging out with their grandparents? What a weird scenario that is.
I mean, the last time it happened, it was just my boyfriend's grandfather, which was quite fun. But
that makes sense.
Makes sense.
Boyfriend's grandparents, but friends doesn't. I can't imagine I'm hanging out with Joe, and Joe's like, "Let's go chill with my grandparents." Because I'd be like, "Joe, that's not welcome to Sheffield."
It's also sometimes parents as well. So there is a generation that love what I did with the Flying Scotsman.
Also, to be fair, you'd have a bad time trying to hang out with my grandparents if you came to Sheffield. One of them's in Brighton, the other three are in the ground.
Oh, I knew. I knew something like that was coming. The way you were saying that.
My toes curled. My toes curled in absolute. Anticipation's not the right word, but it's part of it.
And talking of death, let's get on to our ideas.
Woo! How did you guys find this one?
Oh yeah. Okay, so it's different for me. I knew as soon as that train came out, I knew this is what I'm doing. I knew exactly what I'm doing, but it was more like logistically how do I even turn that into a good show?
Can I ask one question, Sean?
It's not.
Does it involve those two words?
It doesn't. It's technically one word because it's a name, but it doesn't. Oh, actually, no. What am I thinking of? Thinking of something else. It's two words, and it's not Starlight Express.
Okay.
It's the other one that comes up quite a lot.
So who wants to go first?
You do, because you was already going on like, I talked to grandparents about trains.
Look, when I'm introduced to all of my grandparents want to talk to me about trains.
Yes. Everybody likes talking to me about trains. It's why I tend to keep it a secret. But now, putting on this podcast, saying,
Look, we get it. You love trains. Your favourite song is The Locomotion by Kylie.
No.
We know.
No. But I am
Come on, baby, do the locomotion.
Sean, that's enough. We don't want a copyright strike.
I was about to say, here we go. Here's all the infringement.
Who doesn't love Kylie? Classic. Some tunes.
Side note for that, you know who doesn't love Kylie? My mom. You can discuss that with her another time, Sean.
I will discuss that with her. Because we agree. I
thought you were about to say Jason Donovan.
Who doesn't love Kylie? Danny. Controversial.
Oh. Well, speaking of that, actually, I will go first because it does link in, kinda.
It links into two Australian pop singers.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I think it's a bit of a push to describe Danny Minogue as a singer.
Hey, let's. I want to play FIFA. Let's hurry up.
Joe, put your claws away. And okay,
they were a great band, weren't they?
The Claws.
The Cause.
You mean the Clash? Or am I?
No, he's on about the Cause.
The Cause.
Oh, the Cause.
The Irish girls, and their brother.
And their brother, who became weirdly anti-vax.
I feel like he was only there because he could play the violin. Like, hey, yeah. If you're going on tour, take your brother.
Guys, can we talk about trains? There's the soundbite for the episode. Okay, so my idea... So I have to say, the deep nerd in me did read this article and I started giggling quite a lot. Because when I opened it and saw the image of the Camelot, I did sit there and go, that looks exactly like the Scotsman. They aren't the same class and they are decades apart in their manufacturing and their engineering. But as I kept reading the article, I kept kind of giggling at this comparison between Camelot and the Flying Scotsman, because there are lots of similarities between them, not just how they kind of look to somebody who probably isn't an anorak train spotter, but they have loads of differences. So like their looks are the same, but then I was like, oh, it looks like Scotsman, but Scotsman's more famous. And it's like, I was just like, oh, the Scotsman's a little bit older, but I started really giggling when I was reading the story of the Camelot and how it was decommissioned and then bought by a society to be overhauled back into commission for a heritage railway line and used there. And I was giggling because that's basically what happened to the Flying Scotsman several times, but on an international famous scale. And then it got to the dates and I was sitting there going, okay, so the Camelot was overhauled and brought back and sort of put back into use. It returned in October 2015. And I giggled because I know that in February 2016, just months later, the Flying Scotsman returned in very much the same way. And I vaguely remember discussions of, how the Scotsman kind of superseded everything else that was happening in the world of the railways. It was the biggest news that was happening amongst train fans. And then when I read that Camelot was put onto the Bluebell Railway, which is a heritage railway line, I know that a few months later, the Scotsman took over that railway line for a short period temporarily. And I just kept seeing basically like this beautiful locomotive, this beautiful engine and piece of engineering that is, there's a 30-year difference in their engineering, and there are quite a lot of things that the Camelot is sort of technically on an engineering point of view, the Camelot is a more sophisticated machine. But the Scotsman just keeps like blowing it out of the water and just keeps like being that. And I got really entertained by this idea. So that's the context, because you always ask me how I link it back to an article. And that is how I got to this idea of, it reminded me of siblings, mainly, or friends, when it's a case of like, especially when you have like an older sibling who's just better at stuff and like, or more flamboyant than you, and it's like they're always the one getting the limelight, or even the younger sibling is the one getting the limelight. But that, when you're put in comparison, and siblings is a very easy way to be put into comparison with somebody else, that's really what it started to remind me of, is because they're both steam engines, they're both of the same era of engineering, but the new improved one, aka the second child, it keeps getting blown out of the water by the Flying Scotsman, this historic, first to reach 100 miles an hour, record breaking, just flamboyant machine that is also a pain in the arse. And anyone who's ever encountered it from an engineering point of view will understand why. So what I want to do is, for my pitch, for how I turn this into a theatre show, I want to make a responsive site-specific piece of theatre. And it's responsive because I want it to play at all of the heritage railway lines. So I want it to play at Bluebell Railway, but also in places like the Pickering, the North York. It starts in Pickering. It's a North Yorkshire Moors heritage railway line that goes between Pickering and not Scarborough, Whitby, the other one. And we've got loads. We've got in Sussex, we've got in just below Birmingham. It might be between Birmingham and Wolverhampton. There's another one, but we've got loads of heritage railway lines. They're all run by societies, basically, and volunteers. And I want to create a piece of theatre that can tour those spaces, and primarily start and play in one of the stations on, and primarily the start station of those heritage railway lines, because they tend to be quite short. When you're the audience, but the story of this piece is about two brothers, and how the younger brother is always living in the shadow of the older brother. And we can play around with the specifics of that knowledge. But as an audience member, when you're on the station, on the platform at the station, and you're waiting for the locomotive to pull in, I want there to be a sort of, usually the locomotives and the carriages on these lines are quite immersive. They're taking their old memories, and they bring around the old trolley of traditional sweets and stuff like that, which got me into this idea of like, let's create on the station platform, to begin the experience, a kind of like an interactive, an immersive installation, where it's all of the memories of these two brothers growing up and how much they loved trains, and it's those little scenes and snippets of memories done via projection around the station, done by little moments where you've got the little toy trains and the train set in the corner of the station, and we really play with the actual architecture of the station, and create an immersive installation in that kind of way of telling, okay, what's the memories? Then when you step onto the carriage that is being pulled by a locomotive, I'm not precious about which locomotive, but you step onto the carriage and you can pick between two different carriages, and you can move between the two of them at the different stops, but in each carriage is one of the brothers each. So you encounter, when you are on the journey on this heritage railway carriage, you encounter essentially a solo performance that you can then swap between, because sometimes you do stop along these lines. And it's kind of it's two carriages featuring two different perspectives, because the younger brother is always going to be jealous, right, of being blown out the water, but the older brother is always going to be proud of how much better that younger brother is at things. And not, and there's this dynamic where you see two sides of a coin, and you see two sides of the argument. And I really want to play with that and really draw out these things that here are two locomotives. And it was one of those things where when I was reading the article, I was like, I shouldn't be thinking about the Flying Scotsman. I shouldn't be thinking of the older brother, but I am. And how much this reminds me of what I already know. And I really want to play with that idea. So my show is a responsive site-specific theatre piece that is on the go on the heritage railway lines of the United Kingdom. All about competitive sibling nature.
So
beyond,
there's
always a long pause after Gemma, isn't there? So...
Yeah. Mostly because we're just trying to remember where it started.
The context, Joe. So, Gem, many questions. First
Go
one,
for it.
what's the actual theatre part? Is it the two monologues in different carriages?
Yeah, they aren't monologues. I'd see them as quite interactive. There's potential for other
who
people
interacting
to
with?
come in. The audience.
Okay, so So in each carriage, there's a kid. There's a man.
No, yeah, a man
Talking to the audience members about either how great they are or how shit their brother is.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you're at your seat, you're in the thing, and then some guy comes and says, my brother. What a dick.
Yeah, no, and
I'm asking
a little bit more to do, bit more of a to do than that.
I'm not being mean. I'm just asking logistically, because when we get to my bit, I thought logistically of how you can do shit on a carriage.
Yeah, I mean, so carriages are small, but I have done theatre pieces in them before, and they are beautiful spaces to put theatre on, especially when it is small cast theatre and solo theatre, and really kind of that storytelling thing. So,
how does it end?
I didn't get that far. I don't know. I don't have a real rivalry with my siblings or anybody else. I'm just better than everybody else.
What happens if you stay with the same carriage the whole... How long is it?
So my thought was that there's potential for you to say, okay, because usually I'm just thinking, because I know that the North Yorkshire Moors heritage railway line quite well, and you start in Pickering, you hit up 1, maybe 2 stops, and then you hit the final destination, right? And I'd probably take it, just because getting into Whitby is a nightmare, I'd probably take, if I was to take that as the example and be responsive to that railway line, I'd say, okay, we'll take Pickering Station, we'll put in these projections, we'll mount them into the walls, and we'll really play with this idea of the memory ball that you step out of into these carriages, right? And you're still on the platform, and then there are these 2 guys who kind of gather you and take you onto the carriages. Then you have, for the first leg of the journey, you are with whichever brother you ended up with first, and they tell you their story. There's a little bit of fun interaction. It's storytelling. It's a one-man show. And then when you get to the first stop, which I think is Goat something, I can't remember. But yes, the first
GoPro.
No,
what?
No GoPros here. No GoPros here. Yeah, you get to the first stop, and then everybody gets off the carriage and swaps, and so you see the other side of the coin, and then it ends.
It's not a choice. You got to swap.
Yeah, I think that's... I'm leaning more and more into it, and as I was saying, because I hadn't really decided before pitching, and the more I spoke, the more I was like, no, this idea that you do see both coins, and we make you see both sides of the story, just so then you can sit and really start to think about your relationships as well, and your dynamics that may or may not be similar.
I will just remind you, Jem, the question was, how long is it?
How long is it?
It's as long as the line.
It's as long as the line.
That's what she's saying.
So basically, the show is always 10 minutes longer than it's projected to be. Got it?
National Rail. This guy.
I'm just saying it should be public.
God's sake, fat chap, selling it off.
Most of these heritage railway lines are public, and they are run by volunteers, and they're incredibly prompt. You could set your watch to the one in Pickering, so...
Point proven.
There you go. Except, when a sheep gets on the line and they don't want to, cart a huge historical object into the side of an animal.
Jem, I do have one more question, which is just to ask. I know that obviously it's because this is about a train, but within the show, is it being on a train relevant within it? Within the site-specific nature, what about this story has to be told on a train that couldn't in a traditional theatre space?
So I may not have mentioned this. I've got a big note about it in my notes.
I'll tell you what it is. It's because one's Andrew Lloyd Webber and the other one's the guy who's made Thomas the Tank Engine. That's right, then they're brothers. Oh,
I thought you were going to say the other carriage was Julian Lloyd Webber just there being like, but I've got a cello!
No, obscure theatre references aside. No,
Andrew Lloyd Webber isn't obscure.
Julian Lloyd Webber isn't even that obscure.
Anyway.
He's a renowned cellist.
The answer to your question is that in my mind's eye, I may not have expressed this properly in the actual pitch. These boys, when they were growing up, the memories that you see when you're still on the platform are of them playing with toy trains together. And they have the one thing that joins them, the one thing that, when you get older, whether it's with your parents or with siblings or with cousins or whatever, or people who are older than you who've known for a very long time, there tends to be, whether it's a phase that extends beyond a phase and becomes just your mode of communication, usually a lot of the time you'll hit you talk to this person that you should be able to talk about lots to, but you only talk to them about this one thing that you have in common, right? You only talk to them about writing. You only talk to them about trains. You only talk to them about that one holiday that we went on or something like that, because that's the common ground and it never moves past that. I feel like trains are the thing that these brothers have always just if they get together at a family gathering and they're sat there going, I don't know what to talk about, they just talk about trains. It's the thing that they click together on. And so when we are seeing all of the memories in the installation at the forefront of the show, you're seeing these little boys playing with trains. You get to build and help and interact with their little train set. And I feel like I want each of them to be working in the train industry as well, because there's an inclination in me from the National Railway Museum to represent engineering and to discuss engineering and the different parts of the actual railway and how it works. But I hesitated to add that in because that was an underdeveloped idea and felt boring. Well, it felt like you guys would tell me it's boring, despite the fact that to me, it's kind of super interesting.
So, Joe, they like trains.
They like trains, Joe. Thanks, Sean.
Yeah, that's the short version.
I like to paint pictures in people's brains with lots of words.
Okay. Yeah, cool. Joe, who wants to go next?
Sean, do you think your idea is good?
All my ideas are amazing.
In that case, yeah, sure, you can go last.
Okay.
So, obviously, Sean and I have already approached the elephant in the room, which is
there's no
Starlight
elephant
Express.
in the room. It's a glorious show that we talk about many a time. Don't tell me you're just doing Starlight Express.
I'm not, but I'm bringing it up here because you might think, is that where I'm going with this? Also, a musical, of course, Camelot. Classic musical about the Arthurian legends.
Mm-hmm.
But that is not the musical I want to focus on. I want to focus on Sing Along with Thomas. The Thomas the Tank Engine musical VHS that was one of the foundational texts of my childhood years. And is responsible for me for many years wanting to be a train driver.
Yeah.
Till I realised that was, as a job, dull as shit, Jem.
And plus, the fat controller's always giving you shit. You don't want
Yeah,
that in your life.
fuck that guy.
No,
Fat controller, if I see you on site.
Joe, I have one challenge, and it's a minor one. Have you ever stood on like an old train and actually pulled the choo-choo? Because that is thrilling.
Yeah, but that's not driving the train, Jem. That's playing with the horn.
Choo-choo.
Yeah, we all know that driving the trains is the worst bit in San Andreas.
Yeah. So, the important thing here is one key song in Thomas the Tank Engine's Sing Along with Thomas was called Don't Judge a Book by Its Cover.
Okay, wow. What a good thing. Yeah.
It's an important lesson to teach them.
Message.
There are other ones that, such as It's Great to Be an Engine, that I'm not going to approach that one for this. I'm focusing on the moral message of don't judge a book by its cover.
Sometimes it is good to be an engine, because you need that drive in life.
Yeah. And what I want to do is, Sean, we've spoken before about, we've often brought up the fun of the big arena shows. I'm talking Batman Live. I'm talking Disney on Ice. I'm talking Fast and Furious Live.
We're talking Marvel Universe Live. We're talking insert franchise live.
What I want to do is do a big arena show
of Thomas the Tank.
That's a kind of retelling of Arthurian myth with trains.
Are they on ice?
It's on tracks, because I was looking this up. It says that the Camelot train that we're talking about today was founded at Derby Rail Works. And in Derby, there's a big arena. It's meant to be a velodrome, but I see no reason you couldn't take where the bikes go and put small trains on it.
I really thought you was about to say there's a really massive stadium that hasn't got a football team anymore, so I want to put it in there.
Now, or if you wanted to be easy, we could just dress up the bikes like trains. But basically, I want it to be a story of our hero train, the Camelot, is the last little steam train in a town taken over by the big electric ones. And in the end, there's there is a freight lorry stuck in a stone that only the Camelot train can pull out.
Okay. So when you said Arthurian myths with trains, I thought you were gonna exchange the horses for trains as they're dueling. But
it's about the trains.
The
Thomas
trains
style
personified. Yeah, I like this.
Yeah.
So it's a carriage stuck in the stone, and only half out the steam train can get it out.
Yeah.
Camelot.
And if you're wondering, yes, this does exist in the same living vehicles universe as my pitch for the show about race cars.
I was literally about to say that you pitched this at the Download Festival 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, but this one's different because it's trains. And it's indoors. And there's no heavy metal.
Joe just reskins ideas like Call of Duty.
It's like Pixar.
Yeah.
Well, in many ways, it is utilising the one moral message of most Pixar films, which is you can be who you want to be in spite of who you are.
If you want to be a train in Derby, you can do
that.
I like it. I actually really like it. I was very, very skeptical when I thought you were just going to try and shove, modern-ish day engineering into old-timey stories and have, Robin Hood running around climbing trains. But no, I like it.
In
Derby?
Like it. Robin Hood isn't in Derby.
Nor is the stone thing.
But the train's in Derby.
Yeah.
But still,
Robin Hood wouldn't be there.
Also, Robin Hood and King Arthur it's slightly different times.
I was more okay, cool. I was taught history in a really, like, janky way, so I don't know how all of these various different stories, like, line up. And then when it's like, oh, Arthur, I'm like, all Arthurs are the same.
Hey,
all Elizabeths
Sean,
are the same.
Sean, do we break it to Jem that King
They're
Arthur
not
wasn't
real.
real?
Do
Yeah.
we tell us that both of them are like
What?
fictional?
Well, no, Robin of Locksley was potentially real.
Yeah, but not the like the whole of him like.
Yeah, it was an exaggerated story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we tell her about Sherlock? Has anyone told her about that?
Shit, do we tell her about Harry Potter?
Dreams.
Yeah.
Do we tell her that Harry Potter is real and she just didn't get the letter because she's not a wizard?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're a muggle.
I'm a ginger. I'm closely related to Weasleys.
So you're admitting that you are all related. Cool.
Yeah.
You do know you've sort of just like most of your plot is from Starlight Express.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I have no idea. As I've said before, I've never seen Starlight Express.
Yeah, but you basically know it from being on this podcast. You basically know.
But yeah, pretty much all I've got for this week was I just thought Arthurian legends with trains, but the trains are possibly actually just people on BMXs so that we can do cool stunts.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Now, I don't like the idea of them being on BMXs, but I do like the idea of cool stunts.
Yeah, I mean, have you ever seen a train do a 360? No, you will.
I have, on a turntable.
I don't.
Her joke is that I was on. Her joke is I was on about. Yeah, she's on about.
I was thinking, why is a train doing DJing? But she's on about like a
No, a piece of engineering. I'm a nerd, guys. Come on.
Engineering.
I spent too long surrounded by people who were too knowledgeable about this stuff, and I absorbed.
Sean.
Yeah, Jem, we get it. This is the season where Gemma just knows everything.
Hey,
see,
Sean,
I love everything and know everything.
Sean, I've got a request for you. Yeah. Can we jump into your pitch? Because the one thing I know is that this episode's already running over half an hour by now.
Well, you know what? Of course we can. So, I'm going to do something that Gemma normally does and say, I think I've picked the really obvious one because.
I thought you were going to say you're going to do a Gem thing and be like, I love trains.
I love trains. Well, I don't. Well, I think. Right.
Oh, wait. Sorry, Sean. For the record, I don't actually love trains. I quite like them, but I don't love them. Just FYI. Just
whoa. Headline for this episode, Gem just friend-zoned trains.
I didn't just friend-zone them. I friend-zoned them in 2015.
Right, guys. Now, serious now. Right. What is the perfect genre for a train, as in terms of narrative genre for a train?
Action.
Murder mystery.
Murder mystery. Thank you. Agatha Christie got it spot on. She was like, you see a train? Someone needs to fucking die on that train and we need to find out who and why. She got it spot on. Okay. Murder mystery on a train is, as soon as that come out, I was like, it's murder mystery. It's murder mystery. And then I had to think about the logistics of doing a murder mystery theatre show on a train, which has been really hard. Okay.
Is it moving or stationary?
It's both at this point because I just had to. At one point, it was over two. At one point in my head, I was like, okay, this is a really expensive ticket. It was over 2 weeks. It was over a weekend. It included having a day trip in Bristol. It got really logistical, and I was like, no, you've overthought this too much here. Just go back. Okay. So my big issue is, okay, I want to do murder mystery stuff on a train. So I want it to be immersive. I want you to be able to go and investigate and like on it. But then I was like, you're on a train. If everyone just goes and investigates the one dead body on a train, you're not going to be able to. There's not enough room for like everyone to just go, ooh, what's this? Oh, and go to like the same character and go, do you know anything? And they'll be like, oh, sacre bleu, I was here. Or like the train driver going, oh, I was driving the train at the time and I pressed a boop boop. You know, it logistically can't happen because there's no room. There's no room. So I was like, okay, so what am I going to do? Okay, so I'm going to work backwards. Okay, I'm going to No, actually. Okay, so you turn up at this. I was gonna say an abandoned railway, but Gemma said there's heritage lines. So okay, so you turn up to one of them, and I'm guessing they've got parking, which is like good.
Some of them do, yeah.
You park up, you get on the train, you've got a ticket. Well, most of you get on the train. The people who are paid extra, who paid for the premium tickets, they get on the train and they experience the extended prologue that I'm going to call it. Okay. And they get on. So they don't get on. So you got the locomotive, the train bit. And then there's the first carriage. They don't get on that. Okay. That's custom built. And I'll tell you why later. They get on the ones behind it. So, like, let's say there's 3. And they're on the train. They go on the line. Essentially, they go in a big circle, I think, for about an hour. And in that hour, they have some nice food. They get, it's all period. So they get into like, ooh, it's old timey. So they have some food. They bring the carts. And the way I see it is, they get introduced to all of the characters in this thing. And I'm just thinking, like, we have 10-minute character moments where, like, it could be 3, it could be 2, it could be 1 person, where they're just doing a scene in the aisle. And then they'd do their scene, and then they'd go into the next carriage, do their scene, and into the next carriage. So that's why how everyone can get to know the characters, and they're just in their chair. So we could blag that it's immersive or it's interactive, but really it's you're just in your chair, you're seeing someone in the aisle. It's that. So we get introduced to all the characters, and at the end of it, oh my god, I think someone's died. Oh, and we just get into the train station at the same time. Dum dum dum. That's Act 1. Someone's like, you get off the train, and then on the station there is theatre seating. Like raised racked seating. For I'm gonna say about let's say 50 people. So most of the people who are on the carriage, but also some of the cheap people who got like they didn't want the prologue bit. They just wanted the last bit, and then they're sat in front of the first carriage, which is custom made because the one side folds down, and we've got rid of the rows of seats on one side, and all we've got is like an extended aisle, and then seats on the back, and there is a dead body. And then we basically do like a bottle, like a bottle episode of sitcoms where they're all in one. It's basically all the characters that we've met in this carriage, and it's like that, and we find out who done it there. So you get your interactive bit, you get your break, and then you get your chair, and then it's like, whoa, train, murder mystery, boom. That's my show. And I'm really proud of this one because I'm not proud. It's like, it's not like I've thought everything through. I ain't got a narrative or anything. But I'm like, that's how I'd think I'd want to do it. Because you get the best of both worlds there. And it's in one day. So, my original idea was like, it's the first bit. But I'm like, okay, they need to be going somewhere. Okay, so they go to Bristol. And they're there for the weekend. And while they're in Bristol, because it's like a date. It's like a city break, but with this murder mystery aspect. They're in Bristol and they can go to places that like, oh, what's this clue? Oh, and then they get back on the train. I thought, that's crap. Let's just build a new carriage where the wall comes off. That's my idea. So it's a first act where it's like dinner theatre. They get to know the characters, and then the second act is like a bit more straightforward. End on. It's outside. It's like, oh, the door comes down, and that's, yeah. But it's got to be murder mystery on a train. It's got to be.
I love the concept. I do have one logistical flaw for you that you're probably going to shout at me for. Okay. So you've said that you're doing it in 2 parts, primarily because you can't fit lots of people on a train, right? Yeah. And then you say
No. It's not that I can't fit loads of people on the train. It's more that I can't have a really interactive story on the train there's not a room for the audience to. It's not like a Punch Drunk where I have to go find the story, and it's in like a big warehouse where there's lots of space. It's really confined space, so I don't want like the audience. So I can't have the audience wandering around trying to find like as an interactive, immersive thing. There's no room for that because everyone will just go to like the same space, and I can't have too much of a theatrical storytelling in the train because it doesn't. Firstly, I've got 3 carriages or multiple carriages, so then that doesn't help. So I'll have to do the same thing over and over again, which I do, but I do it in small chunks. But then if I want to do the whole story, I've only got like a tiny aisle, and I'd have to. But you do a show.
I get that, but you said that the audience is primarily sitting down in their seats, right? My point is that an average carriage is about 50. So if you have 2...
Okay, so I don't even have to sell any cheap seats. I can just be selling more dearer seats.
You just need to sell the tickets.
I think okay. Then, so the limitation would be how many, how big of an auditorium can I create on the platform?
Yeah, I think that would be the limitation is the size of the platform rather than, how many people can fit in a carriage, because 50 tends to be the max, but it's not an insignificant amount of people if you're filling those seats.
The people were never. I just picked that number out of the air because I'm not train X. I've barely been to York, so I don't know that much about trains. But the limitation was the seating arrangement in the trains than the actual people themselves.
Well, put it this way: like you run from 1 to 36, and then 36 to 55 or something on just a standard carriage of like your like the trains you. I know that not. No, I know that.
We get it.
No. I know that because I travel on trains a lot, and I have to decide what side of the carriage I'm getting onto. That means I'm closer to my seat. So there's about 56.
You really think that? I just wait, and then it normally just says the number on the door.
Yeah, they say the carriage number on the door, but they don't tell you your seat on the door.
I don't know how trains are up north, but.
I'm further south than you are.
Oh my god,
mate.
yeah. I'm just in my head. I'm like, you've been talking about York so much. I've been like, oh god, she must still be there. Sorry.
No, I deal with tubes every day. Trains are at the forefront of my mind all the time, especially now that there's a new line open, which is super exciting.
Wow, purple line, everyone.
Purple. It's my favourite colour.
Right, that's my idea, and now guess, because there's no really any questions, because yes, I've smashed it again.
You have. Yeah. Joe, is there any contrary to that?
Can you have a free ticket? Of course you can, Joe. You're my friend.
No, I was going to ask, can I be the body?
I was just about to say, do you want to be the body? In my head, I was like, do you want to be the body? Of course you can.
Brilliant. Okay.
As long as at the end of it, I can just kind of rise and then just be like, I was that boy, I was that little baby boy.
Talking about musicals and being little baby boys, let's cut to the smush.
All right, I do actually have a smush for this that I'm pretty happy with.
So just as a recap, we've got my responsive site-specific about brothers and sibling rivalry. We've got Joe's. Is it still a musical?
It wasn't, but
Thomas,
it could be.
It's Thomas Sing-Along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's based on the Thomas Sing-Along, but it depends on whether we can get the rights to the songs.
It's a good point.
It's a potential musical, but
Don't
it's
Judge
definitely...
a Book by its cover was a banger, and I don't want to just give that to anyone.
But yes, it is Arthurian legends with trains. None of them being Robin Hood, because apparently that's not true.
It's not an Arthurian legend.
It's not the same.
There's Arthur in it. There's King Arthur.
And Sean's murder mystery that's on a train, but a special train.
How, Joe, can you see smushing it other than just putting it all on trains as they all are already?
Okay. And
Joe's isn't on a train. Joe's is in Derby.
Joe's has trains though.
So mine, I'm thinking, and here's the bold bit. Despite both of yours taking place in a train, the only bit I'm using of mine, really, is the kind of format point of it being in Derby Arena. But what I want to do is do a murder mystery involving the Thomas trains, but it's someone has killed the Fat Controller. And it's come down to, basically, it comes down to Thomas and James, or the equivalent trains in this version, are the last two suspects. The first half of the show is them trying to explain why they didn't do it. But then, the second half of the show is someone asks them, could your brother do it? And it becomes them proving both, one, why they could have, and why their brother couldn't.
And is this is the twist? Is the twist like we find out Thomas has an evil twin?
Yeah,
and he did it.
Yeah, and basically it becomes this sibling rivalry about, at first they're trying to prove they didn't do it, and then someone dares to suggest their brother could have committed a murder they couldn't. So it becomes about them trying to prove that they could have done it and their brother didn't.
And they're all still like vehicles.
Yeah, there's all still trains, and they're still pulling off 6 stunts while this goes on. Because I want the stunt show element.
Can I make one request for a cameo?
Yeah, sure.
Can Brum make a cameo?
Of course Brum can make a cameo.
And that's the cherry on the top of the cake of the smush. I think that works, frankly. I like that smush. I think that smush actually nicely captures the essence and puts everything together. The only thing I don't like about it is it's not in a train.
You can get a train there. There's a special train, like the Polar Express sort of thing.
We'll do up the box seats, so that trains. They look like they're train carriages.
Oh, that's super cool.
Oh my god! How has no one ever thought of doing like an arena where there's a train that goes around the top that you can sit in, so that you're getting a different view of it as the show goes on?
I think that just legit.
I think logistically that's a nightmare.
Should we get into the important bit?
Which is
next week.
Yeah. Because
this is
I don't have to go to the randomizer.
This is the penultimate.
No, this is the bit where you guys shout numbers at me and I give you articles.
Oh,
right.
No. So, just as a context for anybody who's listening to this and never listened to the first 2 seasons.
Obviously, Go to the penultimate one of. Obviously, make a start here. Episode 49, great time, or 50. Episode 50. Start there. Obviously, it's a round number.
Yeah, but this is the penultimate episode of our season, and we are going to close our season next week, where we, as individuals, smush articles together and do kind of mega pitches. There's 2 other ones that you can just go listen to and understand the format then. Joe. Sean.
I haven't got a pen.
That's helpful.
Okay. Oh, I know what I'll do. I'll just put it into the Google document. Can I edit?
Sean,
I'm trying to edit on Google Documents.
Sean, if you want, I can just use a different randomizer on a spreadsheet to put them in a different order.
You're always there with the technology and your randomizers. Randomizers can't help you in life. Okay, unless it's a D20.
I think we know they can.
Right. Sean, what is what's the between numbers?
1 to 14.
Okay, and of course I'm just checking these aren't in the order that the episodes will come up.
Well, that would be stupid, wouldn't it? Okay.
So like if I shouted out number 14, I wouldn't instantly get the train again.
I'm not going to tell you what number 14
is. All right, in that case
7, 9 and 11.
Okay.
So
7, 9 and 11.
Okay, Gemma, you have got Tour Total, the Millennium Challenge 2022, and 11, you've got the 1,000 yen coin. Now, Joe, you need to say what ones you want.
All right, I'll go 5, 8, and 13.
Okay, Joe, you have got HD 32188, which we all know is a star.
Yeah, that was the star.
8. List of twin towns and sister cities in Portugal. Great. And then you've also got mobile phone jacker.
Jammer.
Wow.
Jammer. Yeah. Now it's really small on my screen. Right. So, then you guys have to pick 3 numbers for me, because obviously I can't pick my 3 numbers.
All right. Could you remind us what 6 numbers we just said?
I can't remember what Joe said.
So you've got, so Joe, you said 5, 8, and 13. And Gemma said 7, 9, and 11.
All right.
1.
1. Okay. 1,
2.
Yep.
3.
Hey!
Okay, so I've got Archie versus Predator, Starvation in terms of glaciers, and John Sherber. I can't remember what his last name was. Have you realised what I've done yet?
What?
Did you...
I didn't change the numbers.
Yeah, I was about to say, wait a minute. Weren't those the first 3 episodes?
Yeah. Okay.
I think I've already done mine.
Okay, well, wait till next week.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for listening.
And if you want to watch next week,
yeah.
how will, because you've just started on episode 50, how will I find out about episode 51? Well, you can do that by going down to the description of whatever you're watching or listening this in, and click the link tree link thing, and there you'll be like, boom, oh my god, what's this on my phone? Oh, there's so many different links to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, blah, 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 blah. Click on one of them, and it will show you stuff that we do, and it will probably take you back to here in a week's time to watch the next one. Or just like, share, and subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube, because why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? Because look at my face, look at his headphones, and Gemma's there. You know what I mean? Why wouldn't you want to do this? And if you want to follow me more on Instagram and other things, which I don't bother with, it's still Shawnee B. And if you want to follow Gemma, where can you do that, Gemma?
You can find me at OFITD_Gem with a J. And you can find everything about my upcoming Ed Fringe show there, everything about the art, and everything about everything I do. It's just easier to go there, and then you can follow separate pages from there.
Great. Joe?
As always, I'm off Twitter at the moment, so if you're on there, just follow Boring James Milner.
You know it. You know. He knows. I'm slowly turning him into a Liverpool fan. He googled who's Steve Ocarigi the other day. He's getting there. Right. That's the end of the show. Jem, do what you do at the end. Do the thing. We're done.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, everybody. See you later.
And that's another week that we knocked out the pitch.
Well, I did.